All right, when we're working with positive and negative fractions, we just have a new step right at the top. So if we're going to find a common denominator, I need a number that 5 and 10 can both go into. And both of them can go into 10. So I take the 9/5 and convert it to tenths. And since 5 goes into 10 twice, 9 times 2 gives me 18. I end up with 18 tenths. I rewrite my problem with the new fraction substituted in, the 18 tenths minus -6 tenths. So I've done step 1, which is to find a common denominator. Now step 2 is to follow the rules that I've had for integers. So is there any double signs? Yes, there's a double sign right here, that double negative. I rewrite it, 18 tenths plus 6 tenths, because that's what it simplified to. And now I just have positives, which is great. And it gives me 24 tenths. 24 tenths simplifies to 12/5, which is my final answer. Next problem, step 1, find a common denominator. When I look at these, 3 won't go into 4 evenly, and 4 won't go into 3 evenly. So I'm going to need to find a number that 3 and 4 will both go into. So I think it's helpful to count up. I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Now let's see if 4 will go into any of these. 4 won't go into 3 evenly, or 6 evenly, or 9 evenly, but 4 will go into 12. So that means that my 1/3 can be made into 12ths, and my 7/4 can be made into 12ths. 1/3 is 4/12, because this goes in 4 times, so I multiply by 4 on the numerator. 7/4 is 21/12. When I go to rewrite my problem, that gives me -4/12 plus -21/12. I have successfully found common denominators. Now I'm going to follow my integer rules. Are there any double signs? And there are right here. I rewrite the problem without the double signs. -4/12 minus 21/12. Now that I have found my common denominator and I've gotten rid of my double signs, I now say, are my signs the same or different? These signs are the same. And since they're the same, we're going to add them together, giving me -25/12, which is my final answer. For my last problem, I start by finding a common denominator. Is there a common denominator between 3 and 6? Well, of course there is. Is it either one of those numbers? Yeah, because 3 will go evenly into 6. So when I find my common denominator, my thirds are now going to be converted to sixths, which are twice as many in the denominator, so there'll be twice as many in the numerator, giving me 12/6. I rewrite the problem with my common denominators. Now I'm asking myself, are there any double signs? And there are. My double sign is here. I rewrite the problem without the double sign. Oh, I started using the highlighter again. 12/6 minus 1/6. Now, normally I would go to, are the signs the same and different, and notice that they're different, and therefore I subtract. Or you can look at this and logically say, well, 12/6 minus 1/6 just gives me 11/6 as my final answer. You don't have to make them mixed numbers unless the problem specifically calls for it. Now I'm going to give you 3 problems to try on your own. I've written my steps up at the top, more abbreviated, finding common denominator and then following our integer rules. And these are the 3 problems for you to try. So try one, pause, try one, and then play and check your answer to that one, and then move on to each of the following questions. Ready to start number 1? So first I need a common denominator. My common denominator between 2 and 8 is going to be 8. That gives me negative 7/8 plus negative 4/8. I then am looking, do I have a double sign? And I do. I now rewrite the problem without the double sign. Negative 7/8 subtract 4/8. I then am going to highlight and say, are my signs the same or different? And both of them are negative, so they're the same. I add, and I get a negative 11/8 as my final answer. For number 2, I start by finding a common denominator. And my common denominator, you could have used 48. A lower denominator is 24. This gives me 21/24 and 20/24. Now I'm looking to see if I have any double signs. And I do. I rewrite it without the double signs. Now I'm looking, are my signs the same or different? My signs this time are different. I have one positive term and one negative term. That gives me a negative 1/24 as my final answer. For number 3, I find my common denominator, which will be 12 minus negative 21/12. I look to see if I have any double signs, and I do. Since I have a double sign, I rewrite the problem without the double sign, and I look to see, are my fractions the same sign or different signs? And they are different signs. That means I'm going to subtract them, giving me 11/12 as my final answer.